Sports World is in Toronto, Canada for the World Invitational Superheavy Weightlifting Championship. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and the weightlifting world is electrified with the thought of this competition because it's been so long since the top super heavyweights of the world have faced one another. The Soviet Union and other Eastern Bloc nations did not attend the Olympic Games at Los Angeles, and so you have to go all the way back to 1983 at the World Championship since the top super heavyweights have had the opportunity to challenge one another. Now, the United States is represented here by four-time national champion and Olympic silver medalist Mario Martinez, and he faces the challenge of a powerful team from the Soviet Union. They've brought along three of their top super heavyweights. Now, while the victory and many of the decisions in this tournament are made up here on the platform where the weight is lifted, much of the tactics, the strategy, is determined back in the preparation room. And that's where our weightlifting expert, Doug Cooney, is located. Doug?
This is the warm-up area where the competition really takes place. This is where the coaches and athletes prepare for the competition at hand. Coaches confer with the athletes as to what warm-ups to take. And is this warm-up area ever loaded with talent? Anatoli Pisarenko, three-time world champion from the Soviet Union. Alexander Kurlovich, runner-up to the 1983 World Championship. And world record holder in this snatch, Alexander Gunyashev, also of the Soviet Union.
Now, in Olympic weightlifting, there are two lifts, the snatch and the clean and jerk. The snatch is the first lift. Earlier in the competition, 20-year-old Yuri Zubricki of Czechoslovakia was able to snatch 170 kilos, 374 3/4 pounds. A good lift for the youngest man in the competition.
And Salzwedel, the East German, attempting 374 3/4 pounds, lifting more in strength and technique, is unsuccessful.
Then the Olympic silver medalist, Mario Martinez of the United States, at 172.5. That's 380 1/4 pounds. The lift, obviously no good. He had to come back at the same weight.
And Paul, since the Olympics, Mario has lost weight. He's actually had to increase his body weight for this particular competition. And here he comes back for his third attempt, 172.5 kilos. This one more successful. Mario very strong, holding on for a good lift.
380 1/4 pounds for Mario Martinez. And then the heaviest man in the competition at 347 pounds, Robert Skolimowski of Warsaw, Poland. This was his third lift in the snatch, 182.5 kilos, 402 1/4 pounds. And that lift was good as well. The snatch is the first of two lifts in Olympic weightlifting. It is the lift of technique. Earlier, Doug Cooney and Mario Martinez had a chance to demonstrate the snatch.
In the snatch event, Paul, Mario will be taking a wider hand spacing to allow for the rotation of the shoulders. Watch for two things. Does he keep the bar close to the body, and does he move very quickly? And at this point, Mario getting underneath the bar, settling, getting control, standing up, waiting for the head referee to say down, having demonstrated control.
You've met some of the biggest men in the championship. Coming up, some of the best, led by the Soviet three-time world champion Anatoli Pisarenko. We'll be right back. Giant Alexiev at 345 pounds. An interesting comparison to Anatoli Pisarenko, this man at 265 pounds. This is his third lift in the snatch, 185 kilos, 407 3/4 pounds.
Here goes Pisarenko having some difficulty with this lift. Not a good sign, but he does make it. And the referees say it's a good lift. And that lift, very important for Pisarenko. And here, playing to the audience, much more outgoing than I remember Alexiev being in international competition, Paul.
And a lot more playful than the last time we saw him on Sports World in Odessa, Soviet Union at the Friendship Cup.
And here, taking another look at that lift, Pisarenko very fast for a super heavyweight. Some difficulty with balance, but sure is fast.
Pisarenko, his third lift. The heaviest to this point in the competition, 185 kilos. But now comes his teammate, 26-year-old Alexander Gunyashev of the Soviet Union. This is his second lift, 187.5 kilos, 413 1/4 pounds.
You can see the unchanging ritual of the weightlifter pacing back and forth as he approaches the barbell. Gunyashev concentrating, pulling his thoughts together. He holds the world record in the snatch, so this is a very important lift for him in this competition. He needs this. Again, taking the wider hand spacing. There he goes. Very fast, very fine lift for Gunyashev. And that lift for Gunyashev, 413.25 pounds, very important in this competition.
So that brings up the third of the Soviet lifters, Alexander Kurlovich, and they are now loading 190 kilos, 418.75 pounds on the bar. This is Kurlovich's first lift in the snatch.
And the 23-year-old Soviet super heavyweight at 268 pounds is attempting to psych out his teammates right from the start. 190 kilos, 418.75 pounds in the bar. Weightlifting, so much a sport of psychology.
If Kurlovich makes this, he moves ahead of Pisarenko and will receive the challenge then from Gunyashev.
Kurlovich actually the strongest of the Soviet super heavyweights, but I'm not sure he's as confident as Pisarenko or Gunyashev. Let's see how he does here. Very important lift. Standing over the bar, collecting his thoughts. Kurlovich opening the competition here. 418.75 pounds. Very strong and very fast. But I'm not sure of his technique, Paul. I'll have to take another look at it.
Nevertheless, the lift is good. Alexander Kurlovich, 190 kilos.
Yes, take a look here. Kurlovich actually jumps back. That's not good. But he compensates with his strength. Very powerful weightlifter. Kurlovich taking the lead.
For the moment at least, Kurlovich in the lead. Pisarenko can now do no better than third. The challenge comes from Gunyashev. He is asked for 192.5 kilos. For his third and final lift, that's 424.25 pounds.
Gunyashev, who has been training 10 years, has set 6 world records, 4 of them in the snatch. He's actually stronger in the snatch than the clean and jerk. Therefore, needs this to gain the lead over his teammates. Here he goes, 424.25 pounds. Gunyashev actually looking good for a little more, Paul.
He had some trouble with the lift, but now with 424.25, he moves to the lead. But Kurlovich has yet another opportunity. For his second lift, Kurlovich has asked for 440.75 pounds, 200 kilos.
Kurlovich, having made great gains in the last couple of years, 2 years ago was ranked 8th in the world, currently ranked in the top 3, along with Pisarenko and Gunyashev. Fidgeting, securing his grip. Doesn't indicate a great deal of confidence. As we mentioned earlier, Pisarenko, the more confident of the two. Look at the uncertainty. See how he does here. Critical lift. Here he goes. Some difficulty. No, lift is not good.
So Kurlovich can't make it at 200 kilos. He still, though, has one more opportunity.
And again, Kurlovich, the strongest of the 3 Soviets, but look here. Swings the bar, gets it behind him, almost overpowers it, but lets it go. Very dangerous position.
So the 16-pound increase appears to be too much for Kurlovich, and his idea, his strategy of starting out with a very heavy weight doesn't appear to be working.
Interesting point as we go into the final lift of the competition. Kurlovich needs this to keep that pressure on his teammates. Did he start too heavy? Well, we'll find out.
Gunyashev currently is the leader, 192.5 kilos. This is 200.
Oh, out of position. Hold on. Whoa. Lift is no good. Even if Kurlovich had held on to it, Paul, the lift would not have counted as he walked off the platform.
So the strategy does not work for Kurlovich. Gunyashev, at 192.5 kilos, leads at the conclusion of the snatch. Kurlovich is second, and Pisarenko is third. We'll be back. 1960s, athletes and coaches learned that anabolic steroids might be used to help improve strength, improve recycling times for athletes, and therefore make them more powerful and better able to compete. Since that time, there has been a great deal of concern that has now turned to controversy over the use of anabolic steroids, especially in the field of international Olympic weightlifting. Here in Toronto, the controversy blazed into headlines as two members of the Soviet team, Alexander Kurlovich and Anatoli Pisarenko, were caught by customs with 12,000 steroid pills worth $10,000. The pills were confiscated. The Soviets fined $800, but allowed to enter Canada for the meet. The Minister of State for Fitness and Amateur Sport was furious.
Unlike Sport Canada's drug use and doping control policy, initiated just approximately 1 year ago, the International Weightlifting Federation does not have in its regulations any sanctions nor penalties for the simple possession of a banned doping substance. Consequently, the International Weightlifting Federation has no constitutional or regulatory authority to either penalize or prohibit from competition the two athletes in question.
Gottfried Schodel, the president of the International Federation, agreed possession of the drug was not a violation. The weightlifters would be allowed to compete.
Yes, it could happen because of the reason there are no rules which are perfect. Till now, we have a rule saying that a weightlifter who has a positive doping result has to be suspended for different durations. On the occasion of the games, we suspended for lifetime. But there's no rule to suspend a lifter, a coach, a doctor of medicine, or any official for the possession of forbidden drugs. And on the occasion of our Olympic Congress, we modified our doping rules, and we will have a rule dealing with this.
These two lifters are the best in the super heavy division. And I can tell you, we tested them many times on the occasion of different competitions. We tested in Soviet Union, we tested in Spain or United States, in any countries, and every time these two lifters were absolutely negative. Unfortunately, they brought a bigger quantity, but it doesn't mean they use the anabolic steroids. This is two different things. What I know, they brought these substances as the present for some Canadian sportsmen. Of course, this information is not enough. Now we ask an official report from the Soviet delegation as well as from the Soviet Federation. We have an excellent cooperation with the Soviet Federation, and I am sure the Soviet Federation as well as the International Federation will take a very, very strong decision which against absolutely this kind of traffic of forbidden substances.
Before the championship, Anatoli Pisarenko said it was not possible to train for world-class competition without the use of drugs. The Soviets were allowed to compete because World Federation, not Canadian sport rules, prevailed. The future of the two Soviet weightlifters is in doubt.
Len Berman back in New York with an update for you on the fate of the two Soviet weightlifters. Since we recorded the super heavyweight event for Sports World, Alexander Kurlovich and Anatoli Pisarenko have been suspended by the Soviet Weightlifting Federation. They have been banned indefinitely from all competition as a result of this steroids-related episode. Their coach in Toronto, Alexander Prolipin, has been relieved of his coaching duties as well. Now, coming up here today on the special edition of Sports World, we will have more of the super heavyweight weightlifting as well as the World Bobsleds Championship.
I'm Paul Page with Doug Cooney, and we're ready now for the second half of the competition. Well, the Snatch is now complete, and Doug, the Soviets are showing what a tremendously powerful team they are.
Well, no question, Paul. As expected, they are dominating this particular Invitational. I'm a little disappointed that none of them decided to touch the world record on this particular occasion. Going into the clean and jerk, I think we'll see a very close competition. Don't forget, Pisarenko still holds that world record, which means he's in good form. The second half of the competition is the clean and jerk. Earlier, Mario Martinez of the United States helped demonstrate the clean and jerk. And more weight is lifted in the clean and jerk than in the snatch, Paul. The snatch is a lift of technique, the clean and jerk a lift of strength. Watch as Mario pulls the bar from the floor up to the shoulders, called the clean, using back and leg strength. Again, a closer hand spacing than in the snatch. Here he's adjusting the bar on the shoulder. Now he'll dip and thrust the weight overhead, using leg strength, bringing his feet back in line, demonstrating control for the head referee. At this point, returning the barbell to the platform. The championship is determined by adding the best lift in the snatch to the best lift in the clean and jerk. The man with the highest total lift thereby becomes the winner. Now from Czechoslovakia,
Bohuslav Brom, the oldest in the competition at 29. He is also the tallest man in the competition.
Paul, he's been training 14 years. Earlier in the warm-ups, it appeared that he hurt himself in the snatch. Let's see how he does here in this attempt with 462 3/4 pounds.
This is his third lift in the clean and jerk, 210 kilos.
Sort of the gentle giant of the competition, certainly a crowd favorite here in Toronto. Struggle in the clean. Let's see if he can get it up the rest of the way.
Some trouble here.
Holds on. With some difficulty and much pain, Paul. Look at this. He is in pain.
And Brom is hurt. His coach steps out toward him. That left shoulder that was a problem earlier, apparently it's a problem again. Yes, indeed.
You can see Brom walking off, grimacing. It is the left shoulder, Paul.
Now let's take a look at Brom's lift again. 210 kilos, 462 3/4 pounds on the bar. He struggles with the clean. Now positions himself, is ready to throw it over his head. Fights the weight up into position, his left shoulder already giving him trouble. He yells out in pain, but the lift is good. When he brings it to the ground, he drops with the weight.
I'm going to attempt to get a few words here with Brom. You okay? No. Pin, the back of the shoulder, he says, is hurting him. Yeah? Says he tore something inside of his shoulder. Part of the price you pay for lifting these heavy weights. Snatch.
So that brings out Anatoli Pisarenko. This is his second attempt. 225 kilos, 496 pounds.
Following in that gold mine of Soviet weightlifting, the super heavyweights, Pisarenko gets 496 pounds up to the shoulders quite easily. Weights overhead. Anatoli hangs on, returns the barbell to the platform. And as Anatoli is successful with 496 pounds, he plays to the audience once again. Body weight can be a factor. He actually spent a half an hour in the sauna prior to this competition.
Anatoli Pisarenko, the Soviet showman, a lift of 225 kilos.
And with 496 pounds in the bar, Pisarenko showing us how athletic the super heavyweights have become. Much different than in the days of Alexia.
So the lift good for Pisarenko, 225 kilos. And that brings up his countryman and competitor, Gunyashev, 227.5 kilos. Back in the preparation room, Pisarenko watching the television monitor very carefully as Gunyashev has a chance to move ahead with 227.5.
Remember, Gunyashev is stronger in the snatch than the clean and jerk. So here, this lift, 501.5 pounds, very important to him to set the stage for the overall championship.
Pisarenko currently leading.
Gunyashev, good pull. No. Weights out of position. He dumps it.
So Pisarenko maintains his lead.
And in weightlifting, with only 3 attempts in each event, strategy very important. Pisarenko now figuring out what he needs for the victory.
All of the weights posted on a chalkboard. Kurlovich has posted his first attempt at 230 kilos. We'll be back to see if he can make it.
At the moment, the Soviet coach says that
Championship. This is Paul Page with Doug Cooney, and the stage is now set for a Soviet showdown. The Siberian, Gunyashev, his third lift, 227.5 kilos. That's over the 500-pound mark. 501.5 pounds.
Paul, 3 Americans have exceeded 500 pounds in the clean and jerk. Who was the first? And I'll give you a clue. It was 1972.
72 American. Squash Gunyashev, then I can think about it for a second. Gunyashev, 227.5.
Good jerk. It's out of position, but boy, is he very strong. Look at this. All the way through, Gunyashev holds on.
Good lift at 501.5 pounds. Now the first American over, I have no idea.
Ken Patera, now a professional wrestler.
Patera probably makes a lot more money as a professional wrestler as well. Let's watch Gunyashev. This is the replay of his lift.
501.5 pounds, Paul. No question. Very strong. Now watch here. The weight gets out of position, but Gunyashev holds on all the way through. A good lift.
So Gunyashev on the scoreboard now at 501.5 pounds. This is Kurlovich. His first attempt, the same strategy that he used in the snatch. He starts at 230 kilos, 507 pounds.
Again, the strongest Soviet here today, Kurlovich. No! A very big surprise. He should have made that.
So Kurlovich misses at 230 kilos. He'll have another opportunity, of course. That was only his first lift. There's Pisarenko. A little advice to his teammates. A little guidance there from the three-time world champion. Now, Doug, Kurlovich has to follow that lift almost immediately. He's going to be fatigued.
And if you do miss a weight in competition and no one else is taking that weight, you have to follow yourself. It is a difficult position for a weightlifter to be in. You are allowed 3 minutes between attempts if you follow yourself. But Kurlovich, on this occasion, not taking advantage of that. Only 1 minute has passed.
Kurlovich right back out on the platform. Why would he come out so quickly?
Well, rather than wait for himself to cool off, he's come back out while he's warm, while the blood's flowing. And in addition, the psychology. He's psyched up. He's perhaps a little nervous now, attempting to capitalize on that adrenaline.
So Kurlovich, again, 230 kilos.
Very strong clean. Look at the bar bend. Weight punched overhead for Kurlovich. Came back and made the weight that he missed in his first attempt. Kurlovich breaking the 500-pound barrier.
So the tactics work. Kurlovich misses at 230, comes back his second attempt at 230, and it is good.
And again, the importance of the back and leg strength in the clean and jerk. Kurlovich, very strong in the legs, comes up with no problem. Resting the barbell on the shoulders. He'll dip with his legs and thrust the weight overhead. Absolutely no problem. Looks good for more. Kurlovich successful with 507 pounds.
On his third attempt.
Now, Pisarenko had not earlier indicated what his third and final lift would be. He has just asked for 235 kilos. That's 518 pounds. Anatoli Pisarenko, his final lift.
And look at this. Pisarenko out on the platform even before the bar is loaded. A much more casual style than we've seen him in the past. And look at here, Paul, no belt.
Now, because it could be a factor here, you mentioned earlier that he'd spent a lot of time trying to lose weight. If he makes this 235-kilo lift, his total will come up at 420 kilos, which is what Gunyashev already holds. So Pisarenko will move ahead of Gunyashev just based on the fact that he is 8 pounds lighter in his body weight.
And this is what they really came for in hopes of seeing Pisarenko lift some heavy weights. You can see a more casual approach here. Pisarenko surveying the audience that is watching him. No wraps, no belt. Very unusual for Pisarenko in international competition. Here he goes. And the weight's overhead. A shaky finish. Pisarenko, but he makes it. Three-time world champion, successful with 518 pounds.
So with that, Pisarenko moves ahead of Gunyashev based on his 8-pound body weight deficit to Gunyashev. That brings out Kurlovich. He has an opportunity with this lift now to win the entire meet, to win the championship. He has 235 kilos, 518 pounds, but for the total added to his finish in the snatch, he can move ahead, win the competition.
As we've seen many times in international competition, it comes down to that final lift, and that's why the clean and jerk is called the king of lifts. It does determine the champion from second place. Kurlovich, again, the stronger of the two, I would say. But can his psychology hold up on this occasion? Let's see. Ooh.
518 pounds.
And an easy one. No real competition after all. Kurlovich comes through like a champion, defeating his teammate. And look at that smile. He's very proud.
Alexander Kurlovich is indeed the champion. A total lift, 425 kilos. And this clean and jerk at 235 kilos. That's 518 pounds that he just yanks up into the air, rests on his shoulders, prepared now for that final thrust, and he does it. Back in the preparation room is Doug Cooney.
As always, an exciting, colorful performer in international competition, Anatoli Pisarenko. Anatoli, how did you feel about today's performance?
Вы очень популярны на международном платформе. И вот так, как вы чувствуете себя сегодня, после этого соревнования?
Очень хорошо. Я очень рад, что выиграл Александр Kurlovich, и я рад, что занял второе место.
Well, I feel very well, and I'm very glad that Alexander Kurlovich won the competition and that I became second.
Is it a difficult role, always being the defending world champion in international competitions such as this?
Это трудно, что вы всегда чемпион мира и всегда на соревнования это случится.
Такие вопросы трудные. Ну...
Such questions are difficult.
Вопросы труднее, чем выиграть чемпионат мира, наверное, так.
I would say that the question was more difficult than to win the world championship.
Spasibo, Anatoli. Good to see you, as always.
Thank you.
So the Soviets proved that they continue to be the powers in international weightlifting. Alexander Gunyashev, 420 kilos of total combined lift, 925 3/4 pounds. Good enough for third place. Second place, Anatoli Pisarenko, 3-time world champion. His total lift, 420 kilos as well, but he was 8 pounds lighter in body weight than Gunyashev. He finishes second. And here is your champion, Alexander Kurlovich, 425 kilos, the total lift, 936 3/4 pounds. This is Paul Page for Doug Cooney. So long from Toronto, Canada.